Coming up, authorities in Newton County discover the body of a woman in the remains of a house fire.
While the precipitation is a thing of the past, the temperatures, it is a taste of winter weather. We're going to have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And sleet, snow, and freezing rain turned some area roads into a winter weather nightmare. We'll show you how road crews tackled the challenge.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Well, I tell you what, Tanya, at least we don't have the color-coded map like we did yesterday, whether it be the watches, warnings, advisories, or the rain, the freezing rain, and the snow that we had. Now it's just a matter of how many layers can you put on this morning, because our wind chills right now, these are not wind chills, these are actual temperatures that we're looking at. We are down to single digits in the northwest portion of southeast Kansas. Even throughout southwest Missouri, we're sitting in the teens. Miami, congratulations, you are our clubhouse leader at a magnificent 18 degrees. Now, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, clean as can be, no cloud cover, and therein lies the problem. You know, a little cloud cover actually yesterday, the sun even tried to pop out on us a couple times, would have kept us in the 20s, but the fact that we're so clear, we lost anything that we absorbed. Now, bright side of that, no travel concerns. So at least we're looking good on that as the winter storm has really now moved to the northeastern portion of the United States. We're going to talk quite a bit about the problems that it's causing through the New England portion, and also too these major metropolises where we had at one point in time 100 million people, including us, under those winter storm advisories. We got a little action cooking up here on the border up by the upper plains, but that will not involve us. As a matter of fact, future track for us going to be clear and clean as can be. And we begin a nice little warm-up to the point where we're talking about a great looking weekend. How about pushing up? We'll get some 50s here on Saturday, and we'll average it out about 45, 46, but we'll see some 50s down to the south. And look at that Sunday. So Tanya, all that snow that we picked up yesterday, that will be a thing of the past. Hey, I was going through my timeline. Do you remember 1 year ago today?
I'm sure it was very cold.
We had about 4 inches of snow on the ground. And the reason I remember that, here's the interesting thing. There were 2 people in the newsroom that day. You and me. We were the only ones here.
Yeah, it was a...
True that. I looked it up. That was yesterday. It was you and me in the newsroom all day long.
February 18th. All right, thanks, Michael. One person is dead after a fire in Neosho, Missouri. The Newton County Sheriff says the fire happened around 6 o'clock Wednesday night on Herring Road in Neosho. When crews put out the fire, they found the body of a woman in her 60s. Authorities have notified the family, but the sheriff has not released the victim's name to the public. Jurors convict a Neosho, Missouri man of tampering with a victim in a domestic assault case. Last June, John Martin Hamilton was in the Newton County Jail charged with felony domestic assault. Prosecutors say he called the victim from jail and offered her $500 to drop charges. A jury found him guilty of tampering after a one-day trial and just 35 minutes of deliberation. Missouri lawmakers push for the state to officially recognize Black History Month. The state has designated days honoring several prominent Black figures such as Rosa Parks and John Jordan Buck O'Neill, the first African-American who coached in Major League Baseball. He played mostly with the Kansas City Monarchs, but state law does not designate February as Black History Month. A bill making its way through the Missouri legislature would change that. Under the legislation, Missouri would join Alaska, California, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, and South Carolina as the only states in the country to officially recognize Black History Month in state law. In our viewing area, the road conditions generally got worse the further north and west you travel. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with emergency managers in Labette County and in Allen County, Kansas, and have more on how the crews work to keep drivers safe.
Road conditions in southeast Kansas weren't great for anyone out on the roads, and they got worse the more you headed north.
Yeah, the roads aren't very good right now. If you don't need to be out, please don't.
Charles Morris, Emergency Management Director for Labette County, says they saw a few accidents relating to this weather.
We had a 2-car non-injury accident south of town here. We have a semi-jackknife somewhere out around the Neosho River Bridge on 400 Highway. And then we had a limb come down, we assumed due to ice. took the power service out to a house.
Over in Allen County, their emergency manager says they have had some slide-offs, but no reported injuries.
We have had a few minor incidents where people have slidden off the road, but no collisions where anybody's gotten hurt. Some people have gotten stuck just on the side of the road, but nothing major.
He credits it to many people staying off the roads and staying safe.
A lot of people are just staying home, and that is what we recommend, just to stay off the roads.
But when people do need to be on the road in conditions similar to those on Thursday, Morse has some tips to stay safe.
If you can cancel it or postpone it, please do. If you do go out, make sure your phone's charged, extra water, extra blankets. Give the road crews, the county and city and state, give the guys time to get their job done, get the roads cleared and stuff down. With it turning cold like it is, it's going to be tough for them to get everything done in a timely manner before the cold weather gets here.
And in the end, it's safer to just stay home. In Labette and Allen counties, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
One key tip from both emergency managers is to plan ahead before hitting the road. Well, Priscilla Peterson with KDOT says the heavy rain ahead of the wintry weather made it impossible to pre-treat the roads. Although crews work to keep roads clear, Peterson says the variety of winter precipitation makes driving more hazardous.
It was rain going into freezing rain, going into sleet, going into snow. So it's just something that you have to monitor. And if you're out driving, you have to be really, really careful and slow down.
Peterson says in areas that did not see much snow, drivers need to be especially cautious because it might be hard to see the ice. Well, it was mostly sleet and freezing rain with snow on Thursday in the northern counties of Missouri. In southern counties, though, it was a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and flooded roads. Another concern was temperatures dropping throughout the night, leading to freezing.
As we convert ice, it converts to water, and we're going to try to dry these roads up, but we're still experiencing some precip, and up until as the temperatures drop, that refreeze is a real possibility. So give yourself plenty of time. Certainly don't speed, don't use your cruise control, and be careful.
Campbell says they had to close roads in the southern portion of the district due to flooding concerns, but they did not close roads due to snow or ice. Well, this is what some roads look like in the St. Louis area yesterday morning. Some neighborhoods flooded and created a commuter nightmare. One man says he saw a driver get stuck in floodwaters. It's 5:07.
Our hydrographs, Tanya, were not too bad. I focused in on the spring, the Neosho, Cow Creek, and it's because we were so dry leading up to this point. We did have those flood watches throughout southwest Missouri, but our hydrographs for our river stayed tremendously low, so we really didn't have the flooding concerns that they did as you pushed off to the east. Now, for this morning, it's a matter of staying warm because our temperatures right now, single digits in the northern portion of the 4 states. The highest we have right now is about 18 degrees. So while travel concerns, we don't have to worry about those compared to what we did yesterday. We do have to worry about making sure that you stay warm.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, McCully Warriors took on Thomas Jefferson in McCully's final home game of the season. Did they finish with the win? We're going to tell you in sports. Plus, we'll meet a woman who had her pocket picked digitally. And we want to know how you protect yourself online. And a new study from the CDC suggests the COVID-19 vaccine can protect not just a pregnant mother, but also her baby. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
President's Day is the best time to buy furniture.
Senior night for the McCully Warriors facing off against Thomas Jefferson, the final home game of the season. We'll start with the girls' game as McCully enters the night 15-10, trying to snap a 5-game losing skid. And check this out, McCully senior Kaylee Teeter. She suffered a season-ending knee injury earlier this year, but here gets on the floor, scores the final 2 points on senior night. Third in program history. Kaylee finishes with 1,383 points. That is marvelous. Another senior, Avery Eminger. How about collecting the rebound and the putback? Kennedy Dure. That's called the shooter's roll on senior night, folks. Warriors go up 21-10 at the half. Second half, Chloe Williamson score and give me the foul. Back to Kennedy. Easy 2, 22 on the night. She's 4th all-time on the scoring list now as McCully sends the seniors out the right way, winning 50-27.
I never thought this moment would come where it'd be my last home game, and to do it with my best friends. It was a very humbling experience where I was just like, I'm never going to get this back. Even going on to college, I'm never going to have these type of teammates, and so I just want to cherish every moment. I wanted to cry the first quarter, just coming out and being like, this is my last time with my school behind me right now in the stands, in my home atmosphere. Yeah, it was tough putting it aside, but it also gave me fuel to, go out with a bang.
Smile on your face. I don't know what I can do this morning to help you out, because that was tremendous right there to hear from Kennedy. Now, after the girls' game, boys hit the floor at McCully. Tough one for the Warriors because TJ came in 17-6 and gets it done and wins it 59-46, your final. Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern basketball. They split a rivalry doubleheader on Wednesday night. Now, that game was in Joplin. On the women's side, Lions rolled by the Gorillas 80-65. That was Missouri Southern's 12th straight win. Maddie Stokes and Lacey Stokes. My goodness, what they have done this year. Maddie finished with a big double-double. 25 points, 13 rebounds. Lacey Stokes filled up the stat sheet. 22 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. But let's not overlook Haley Grant. How about this? 13 points, 6 boards, 4 for 5 from the field. And Grant also went 5 of 6 from the free throw line.
She's insanely athletic. She's tall. She can jump out of the gym. And I told Coach, I was like, I told him we should just ISO one side out because there was no way a girl was staying in front of Haley, because she's just lanky and she reaches out and gets those. And then to have her rebounding, especially on the defensive end, is just huge in that fourth quarter.
First half, she had, 2 tip-ins, just jumped up over the top of everybody. And then in the second half, she got to the basket a couple times and did some good things, knocked her free throws down. And then she just goes and gets rebounds.
Now in the men's game, Pitt State found itself down 9-0 at one point in time, then 11-1. But they came back and pulled off the upset. Gorillas down by as much as 12 points in the first half. Win this thing 95-82. Bobby Arthur Williams had 11 points. Tyler Hawkins had 18. R.J. Lawrence had 21. But the story of the night, Labette County Magic Rilliford had his best game of so far in a Pitt State uniform. Team high 24 points, 5 of 9 from 3-point, 7 of 14 from the field. Rutherford also had 5 rebounds, 4 steals, and 3 assists. Now, this week has also been a huge week for the Pitt State men's track and field team. Over the weekend, the Gorillas set 7 new school records while hosting the 7th annual Gorilla Indoor Classic. That includes sophomore Braylon Brewer and freshman LJ Kiner. Now, Brewer was named MIAA Men's Track Athlete of the Week, set a new school record in the 200 meters, and broke his own school record in the 400. Kiner, well, he was the league's Field Athlete of the Week after posting the top mark in Division II this season and breaking the school record in the triple jump. After this weekend, Gorillas climbed to the top spot in the national rankings. First time in program history they've been number 1. They know the pressure of now being number 1, but not letting that pressure drive them through the end of the season.
Coming for us, we're going to have that target on our backs. Team, just the men teams in general, and the women's team are going to have targets on our back. We've got to let the pressure kind of drive us and make us do better.
Still a lot more we can do, and we are still going to do a lot more, honestly, throughout the season. We're not done yet.
They show up every day with the purpose of what they need to achieve. They really don't get too wrapped up into rankings. It's nice to have it. It's nice to be recognized, but we all know that rankings don't mean anything. What really matters is when you show up on that day. And our guys have had that mission to showing up every day ever since Outdoor Nationals of being better at the national level. So our guys are self-driven, and we're just kind of trying to stay calm and show up every day and do what we need to do.
I understand what Coach Rutledge is saying, but it seems like every meet that they have, his Gorilla athletes, they keep showing up at the track. All right, coming up next on the KOAM Morning News, shelling in what's called the line of contact on the Ukraine border, and also the damage of a kindergarten school in that process. And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Access Family Care Medical and Dental Clinics.com.
About 20 minutes past the top of the hour. Never stopped me from doing weather on the 7s. In stark contrast to what we had when we had our snow event here at the beginning of the month, and we had those snow piles across 7th and Rangeline from our bureau there, where those lasted for seemingly 5-6 days. Compared to what we had yesterday, you know, southern portion of the 4 states was mostly a whole lot of sleet and ice, which I'd be driving. I mean, thank goodness for all of you that slowed down and were safe out there. 14 degrees. Now we turn our attention to the cold weather. That's what we're going to concentrate on today, because we don't have to worry about any precipitation. As Skywatch Storm Tracker, just clear as can be. It's just how cold it is right now. We're down to 5 degrees in Iola. These are not wind chills. These are actual temperatures. 14 in Carthage. Let's roll 18 in Miami. Now, if we take that wind chill into effect, are we going to populate? Sometimes if I do that, I think it's going to pop up. Sometimes it doesn't. You know what? Sometimes it's so cold, like that would read about like 0. Some of these would read -1, -2. And so the computer's like, no, Michael, it's not even worth it. I don't even want to show you how cold it is. And the reason being, we've got this cold swath that runs right through here up to the Great Lakes, kind of divides almost the 4 states right in half. Now, the majority of the precipitation, and we'll check in on this in a little bit, nationally speaking, it's moved up through New England and the northeastern portion of the United States. But interestingly enough, the cold front didn't penetrate all the way to the Atlantic coast. So they stayed with thunderstorm activity all up the mid-Atlantic and through the northeastern portion, while it was pretty much upstate New York, Pennsylvania, far northeastern reaches of Ohio that received the majority of the snow. But just on the heels of that is what we're stuck with, at least for one more day. Now, when we get to the 7-day forecast, you'll notice we've got a nice little warm up here for Saturday and Sunday. We'll get mostly sunny skies over the weekend. And really, by the time we get to Sunday into Monday, we're talking about abnormally warm February temperatures once again. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Get this, high-tech pickpocketing. Interesting story here. All right. So a Florida woman says that a young boy asked to borrow her phone, and she says he used Venmo to steal $4,000. Marley Martinez with this story.
It was a calm Saturday evening. In the picturesque Baldwin Park neighborhood, Shannon Frazier was walking her dog when she says she ran into a young boy who told her this.
My phone is dead. I can't find my family and friends. I've lost him. He's on a scooter. And he's like, you know, can I please use your phone to call them? Your first instinct is help a kid, you know, like immediately. Without thinking, and of course hindsight's 20/20, but I just handed him my phone.
She says the boy looked about 12 years old.
He had the person on speaker. He's like, you know, I can't find you guys. He said, do you mind if I open your maps? So he opens maps, and I'm watching him do this. You know, that's the crazy part, is I'm, you know, a foot away.
They parted ways, and Frazier didn't think anything of it until Monday night.
I get alerts from my bank that my 2 Venmo transfers were approved. One was in the amount of $1,800, the other one was in the amount of $2,000, and that's when I stopped dead in my tracks.
She contacted Venmo immediately and discovered the boy's account was set up just 30 minutes before she met him.
I feel like this is the new pickpocket.
The Better Business Bureau says this is an important warning, especially since a number of times these situations go unreported. So their best advice is to enable Face ID and PIN on not just your phone, but the Venmo app itself.
Most of my apps were protected by face identification. I thought Venmo was as well. It wasn't.
In just 3 minutes, Frazier says he took nearly $4,000. She says Venmo credited her account everything that was taken, and her next call is to police. She's sharing her story about how helping someone hurt her.
I think our guard has to be up more, and that's the sad part of the story.
Our question to you this morning is, how do you protect yourself online? Whether it be password, facial recognition, the thumbprint, maybe the two-way authentication. Let us know by going to our Insta poll, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also connect to us via Facebook. Or if you got your phone, hit that two-way authentication, show your password, then put your face in front of it for that facial recognition. Snap a picture of that QR code and it will take you straight to our Insta poll each and every morning. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
topping Health Watch this morning, a newly released model claims that around 73% of Americans are now immune to Omicron. Associated Press reports the Omicron wave that crippled the U.S. in the past few months has also bolstered our defenses, which could provide strong protection. There's also hope that it will leave enough protection against COVID that future spikes will be less disruptive to society. About half of eligible Americans have received booster shots. And the hope is that by mid-March, 80% of Americans will be immune to the variant. COVID-19 is still infecting over 130,000 in the U.S. and killing more than 2,000 people a day. Well, there's new evidence that getting vaccinated against COVID-19 while pregnant can also provide protection to the baby. Mandy Gaither has more on the research.
Right now, no child under the age of 5 is eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine in the U.S., but if you're pregnant, a new CDC study suggests getting vaccinated also helps shield your baby from the virus.
The mom getting vaccinated is really the only way you can protect that baby as far as giving it antibodies. There's no other way.
The study says babies of mothers who got 2 doses of either Moderna or Pfizer's vaccines during pregnancy had a reduced risk of being hospitalized with COVID-19 in the first 6 months of their lives. The protection appeared to be higher among infants whose mothers were vaccinated later in pregnancy. The researchers noted that COVID-19 antibodies likely could be transferred across the placenta to the baby during pregnancy and might provide protection to infants. Vaccines also provide critical protection for those who are pregnant and are recommended before and during pregnancy.
Pregnant women have a suppressed immune system, so they have a higher risk of coronavirus and COVID complications. So vaccinating them is very important. But now we see, too, that by encouraging vaccine in pregnant women, you can help them give antibodies to their newborn, which is every mom wants to protect their child.
Researchers say vaccination during pregnancy for other diseases like the flu or whooping cough also provides protection for infants during their first 6 months of life, a time when they're most vulnerable for severe illness but are not yet old enough for vaccination. Watermelons are not only tasty and thirst quenching, they're quite good for your health. A team at the Illinois Institute of Technology conducted a study that found the summertime favorite contains compounds that benefit many parts of the human body. Research found watermelons are packed with antioxidants, minerals, and essential vitamins. They also contain amino acids that help control blood pressure, blood fats, and blood sugar. And the study found the melons promote brain health and help control body weight. The findings appear in the journal Current Atherosclerosis Reports. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Lander Chevrolet of on KOAM TV.
Coming up, authorities in Newton County discover the body of a woman in the remains of a house fire.
Tell you what, Tanya, I've been doing this a long time, and I tell you what, 1 year ago today, it was actually colder than what we're experiencing right now. That doesn't mean it's not freezing, though. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And sleet, snow, and freezing rain turned some area roads into a winter weather nightmare. We're going to show you how road crews tackled the challenge.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Peel back the curtain. You were just shaking your head at me.
I was.
You were. So sometimes folks during commercial breaks, I complain because it's cold and I don't like the cold. And Tanya just looks at me and she just shakes her head like this. She has to tolerate me, and I feel bad for her when she has to do that. And Tanya, it is cold outside. I'm not going to lie to you about that.
Yeah.
Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline sit right now at 14 degrees. That's as good as we're going to get. Now, on the bright side of it, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, clear as a bell. No travel concerns on this Friday morning. It's just a matter of how many layers can you get on if you have to go walk outside. We're down to single digits up in the northwest portion of the 4 states. 18 in Miami is as good as it gets. 15's right there rolling through Neosho and Monette. You see this definitive line here with the wind chill. Not a whole lot of difference, but we're going to keep dropping down. We're going to get some negative numbers here before we get to sunrise around 7 o'clock. As far as what we're looking at nationally, yeah, it's that cold swath that kind of comes out of central Oklahoma right through us and then up to the Great Lakes. Majority of the snow and thunderstorm activity now pushing to the mid-Atlantic. This is kind of curious. The cold front stalled out on the southeastern portion of the U.S. right here. So they avoided any of the snow that we had. It kind of took off toward the Great Lakes, up toward the Canadian border. And they actually have extremely warm temperatures in D.C., New York, Boston. They were sitting at 60 degrees yesterday. Now, eventually we're going to get to 60. Just give it a couple days here. We'll get up into the high 30s today. We'll go 40s, if not 50s tomorrow. I think we'll scrape some 50s tomorrow. And then Sunday and Monday, there are our 60s. We'll worry about that cold front coming next week over the weekend. Let's not concentrate on that now. Let's think about 60s on Sunday and Monday.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to 60s. It's going to be a great way to start off the work week.
Oh, no, it'll be great.
Awesome.
Sunday's going to be great. Sunday's going to be delightful.
It's amazing how you don't have to go too far, like from north to south, and you have like snow cover. Like my parking lot is completely covered in snow. And then I came out here, and the parking lot here is nothing at all.
Remember those traffic cameras that we took yesterday at noon, where we went up to Harrisonville, and just snow everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we go to mile marker 18 on 44, and you would just think it's like a cool winter day. Like there was nothing on the ground. It was something else.
Yeah. I scooped like 2 inches of snow yesterday, and it was nothing.
We had some good, legitimate afternoon snowfall. I mean, I had some fat flakes coming down at home. It did not disappoint.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Michael. One person is dead after a fire in Neosho, Missouri. The Newton County Sheriff says the fire happened around 6 o'clock Wednesday night on Heron Road in Neosho. When crews put out the fire, they found the body of a woman in her 60s. Authorities have notified the family, but the sheriff has not released the victim's name to the public. Jurors convict a Neosho, Missouri man of tampering with a victim in a domestic assault case. Last June, John Martin Hamilton was in the Newton County Jail charged with felony domestic assault. Prosecutors say he called the victim from jail and offered her $500 to drop charges. A jury found him guilty of tampering after a one-day trial and just 35 minutes of deliberation. Missouri lawmakers are pushing for the state to officially recognize Black History Month. The state has designated days honoring several prominent Black figures such as Rosa Parks and John Jordan Buck O'Neill, the first African American who coached in Major League Baseball. He played mostly with the Kansas City Monarchs, but state law does not designate February as Black History Month. A bill making its way through the Missouri legislature could change that. Under the legislation, Missouri would join Alaska, California, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, South Carolina as the only states in the country to officially recognize Black History Month in state law. It was quite a mix of conditions across the area. In some places, lots of snow and ice, in others, not much. Regardless, wintry weather can create a slippery situation when you step outside. KOAM's Chris Warner has more on what those hidden risks are.
Sidewalks down here in Joplin are mostly clear, but there's still some patches of ice, and that means, despite how clear it looks, you could still manage to slip and fall. Reddingsville Fire Chief Steve Coates lays out the risks.
There's several different injuries that can take place, mostly to either the arms or the head, back of the head from the fall, depending on which direction the fall is, or ankles.
But when should you treat it at home versus going to the hospital?
If it's a situation where, it doesn't feel too bad right now, and it starts hurting a little bit later, you may consider medical treatment. If within 48 hours the pain hasn't gone away, they probably ought to seek medical treatment.
Chief Coates says the most concerning situation is a head injury.
Any kind of head trauma where the brain has impacted the interior of the skull could put you into a situation where you have a concussion.
Chief Coates says if you hit your head, even if it doesn't hurt that much, you should seek medical attention immediately to rule out a more serious injury. He says there are some key symptoms to watch out for if you do hit your head.
They could feel nauseated, they could have a headache, they could feel really tired, hard to keep their eyes open.
There's a couple of simple ways to avoid a slip and fall in the wintry weather. The first, just stay home. But if you can't, take a walk on the grassy side.
Usually grass is more porous and the ice isn't smooth like it would be on like a sidewalk. And if you have the opportunity, you walk in the grass and lessen those opportunities to slip and fall.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Chief Coates says it's important to watch out for black ice on sidewalks and to take it slow, even on snow, because there could be ice hidden beneath. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
Tanya, today is going to be a super cold morning, but here's the nice thing. We do not have to worry about any travel concerns, thanks in part to our wonderful road crews doing yeoman's work yesterday and into the early morning hours. I haven't even had any reports of any refreezing, and I'm keeping a close eye on that. So it seems like it's going to be smooth sailing. Just make sure you bundle up. Eventually this afternoon, up into the 40s, so anything that's residual in your yard, if it doesn't melt today, it will certainly melt by the time the weekend's over, because we're going to roll mid-40s on Saturday and sunny skies all the way up to 60s by Sunday.
All right, this morning we're discussing pickpocketing in the digital age. While taking her dog for a walk, a young boy approached Shannon Frazier and told her his phone had died and he couldn't find his family or friends. Could he borrow her phone to contact someone? Of course. Without thinking, Shannon handed her phone over to the boy, who opened a Maps application. Shannon watched him the entire time and didn't realize until she began receiving alerts from her bank that her 2 Venmo transfers had been approved, transfers she had never consented to. The boy had set up a Venmo account only 30 minutes earlier. In just 3 minutes, he had transferred nearly $4,000.
Am I a bad person in saying this? Why did she let a stranger borrow her phone?
Because she thought it was like a 12-year-old. Okay, so it'd be like someone like your son coming up.
I know. That's
and
why I
he
said,
can't
am
find
I a
his
bad
family.
person? Am I a bad person for asking the question?
You know you would let a kid use your phone
You're
to try
right.
to find their family.
I know, and now I hear this story and I'm like, wait. No, the best part is, what are they going to get from me?
Right?
The kid would be like...
That's why it makes me not want to connect anything
I would
financial
so disappoint
to
the kid. He'd be like, there's
that.
nothing to
Yeah.
steal here. Oh, I picked the wrong guy. My bad. Anyway,
Good
our
morning,
question
kids.
this morning, how do you protect yourself? And this is something interesting because Tanya and I have had to do this recently at the station, what we call our 2-factor authentication. I know, I did the same thing. I was like, I saw the phrase 2-factor and I just like grabbed the desk and I was like, okay.
Oh, this has it too.
Calm, Michael.
Now this has it.
Husa.
But it's stories like this that remind you that it's so easy to,
I know. I get it.
for some people to figure it
torn.
out.
I'm so torn on
For
this story.
some people.
All right, 55% of our respondents right now, Tanya, say they just go password. 9% go facial recognition, or now it's 8%. That's the great thing about the Instapoll, how quickly it updates. I find this curious though. A quarter of our respondents, okay, 25%, password, facial recognition, two-way authentication, thumbprint, or most of these.
Yeah.
25% go with like
they do
double.
the two-way, but they're also doing the other things.
I know.
Because most of the time you're gonna have a password no matter what,
Right.
pretty much. So
Okay.
you're just
That's
adding to it.
True that.
Or
But then you're gonna add on with facial recognition, the two-way, or the thumbprint.
I have tried to put the thumbprint on my phone so many times and it will not accept it.
You know what? I actually shouldn't have peeled mine off when I made a run for the border. Story for a different day. We'll be back right after this.
Dear Winter, my squad of 16 vehicles with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is revving to go. Bundle up, Toyota. Get 2.4.
Topping World Watch, a shell pierced through the bricks of a kindergarten in the village of Stansia, Luhanska in eastern Ukraine on Tuesday. Clarissa Ward has the details.
The Ukrainian military has brought us nearly 400 miles towards the front lines in the east of the country. It's already dark by the time we land. We'll only have a short time on the ground, but they are determined to show us the aftermath of heavy shelling earlier in the day.
This kindergarten is less than 3 miles from the so-called line of contact, the front line. And witnesses in this area said that around 8 or 9 o'clock this morning, they started to hear shelling. It was loud enough that they could hear the whistle of the shells going by, and 2 of them landed here at this kindergarten. Let's take a look.
At the end of the hallway, this is what remains of the playroom. The military says the first shell hit at 8:45. Mercifully, the children were eating breakfast in another part of the building. Teacher Yulia Semenyenko tells me she immediately rushed them into the hallway, away from the windows.
So she's saying in that moment, she was only really afraid for the children.
I ask her how they reacted to the situation. Our youngest children thought it was all a game at first, and we just let them pretend, she tells us. Our older children understood what was happening, and they were afraid. Video released by Ukrainian police shows the kids being hastily evacuated from the building.
Obviously, it's very dark here. I'm not sure if you can see, but this is actually a children's playground. And if you just turn over here, you can see this is a crater, and the local authorities are telling us that this is where the other shell hit.
Our time on the ground is restricted. Fighting usually begins after dark here. As we finish up a live shot, our Ukrainian minders grow nervous.
Did you hear the sound?
Yes, I hear it.
Let's go to the bus, guys.
John, please excuse me, but our Ukrainian military minders are asking us to move because of that shelling. So we will check in with you as soon as we can. Thank you.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys, please.
On an average day, there might be 3 or 4 major ceasefire violations around here. Today, the military says there have been more than 30.
Okay. They're telling us we have to go now. There's a steady stream of artillery that we can hear in the distance, so we're getting onto the bus to leave.
In the hours after we leave, another shell hits a house in the same town as this front line continues to heat up at a time when calm is desperately needed.
That's a look at one of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Roper Honda has the pre-order advantage with Honda's 90-day program.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. One person is dead after a fire in Neosho, Missouri. The Newton County Sheriff says the fire happened around 6 o'clock Wednesday night on Heron Road in Neosho. When crews put out the fire, they found the body of a woman in her 60s. Authorities have notified the family, but the sheriff has not released the victim's name to the public. Jurors convict a Neosho, Missouri man of tampering with a victim in a domestic assault case. Last June, John Martin Hamilton was in the Newton County Jail charged with felony domestic assault. Prosecutors say he called the victim from jail and offered her $500 to drop charges. A jury found him guilty of tampering after a one-day trial and just 35 minutes of deliberation. Priscilla Peterson with KDOT says the heavy rain ahead of the wintry weather made it impossible to pre-treat the roads. Although crews work to keep roads clear, Peterson says the variety of winter precipitation makes driving more hazardous. Peterson says in areas that did not see much snow, drivers still need to be especially cautious because it might be hard to see the ice. And it was mostly sleet and freezing rain with snow on Thursday in the northern counties of Missouri. In the southern counties, it was a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and flooded roads. Another concern was temperatures dropping through the night, leading to refreezing. Campbell says they had to close roads in the southern portion of the district due to flooding concerns, but they did not close roads due to snow or ice. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Tanya, you're talking about those temperatures dropping right now. How about single digits throughout the northwest portion of southeast Kansas? Only the teens is about as warm as we get on this Friday morning. But the positive side of it, as we talk about those road conditions, is we do not have to worry about any precipitation dropping down as the Skywatch storm tracker remains clear on this Friday morning. Great looking weekend ahead as we'll be into the 40s on Saturday, the 60s by Sunday. More KOAM morning news right after this.
It's time to save.
Well, you may remember him as Jasper Hale from the Twilight movies. I sure do. Jackson Rathborn stars in a new movie filmed a decade ago, but just seen released this week. Rick Damigella reports.
Try big flat.
How did you get in here?
I live here.
Jackson Rathbone stars as a ghost haunting the home and the heart of Janelle Parrish in Until We Meet Again.
How long have you been here?
Since 1969.
Until We Meet Again is the story of a young songwriter who moves in to house sit this beautiful mansion, old Hollywood mansion, to find that it is possessed by the spirit of a young concert pianist.
I've forgotten how good a taco is.
Do you want a beer with that?
Yes.
It was filmed about 10 years ago now. As an actor, I've done a lot of movies, but this has got to be the longest delay in release that I have ever seen.
I don't age. I don't feel pain. The only thing I can't do is leave this house.
I've had an interesting career portraying a lot of interesting characters, most famously as a vampire for many years, where they painted me white. I guess, I should say. In this one, they also went with the white paint, which is never fun. It crinkles around your face and your hands, and everything you touch is got white paint on it, so you kind of want to be delicate about eating.
I've never felt like this before.
I'm an illusion. I'm dead.
I'll take my chances.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Until We Meet Again debuts this week on digital platforms. No word as to why the movie took 10 years to finally see a release date. We'll be right back with a look at your forecast when we return.
Joplin area.
Got ourselves what you might call a definitive chill in the air on this Friday. Now, the positive aspect of this, if you layer up, you're going to be all right because we do not have the travel concerns that we encountered yesterday. That is the Skywatch Storm Tracker. That's a live look. I'll throw on the sweeping radar just to show you that there's actually nothing coming down. We are clear as can be. Get a great shot of a beautiful moon. And wait till this afternoon. We'll work up into the 40s. We'll talk about the weekend and 60s on the horizon here when we return.
We're here.
Coming up, the latest in the discovery of a body found in the remains of a house fire.
Brutally cold on this Friday morning, but at least we do not have any travel concerns, but the winter weather temperature-wise sticks around. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Havoc on the roads ahead of President's Day weekend. I'm Laura Podesta with details, including video of a pileup involving 100 vehicles.
And here in the 4 states, sleet, snow, and freezing rain turned some area roads into a winter weather nightmare. How road crews tackled the challenge.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. A challenging Thursday morning on the road finally yields to easier conditions this Friday. For the latest, we go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And it's interesting, Tanya. We've been talking about when we have done the daily almanac last week and into this week, what it was like 1 year ago. As a matter of fact, I had somebody send me a picture 1 year ago from yesterday. You know that there were like 3 to 4 inches of snow on the ground in Miami?
Yeah.
It's a far cry. We get so locked in the moment as far as what we're dealing with right now. We harken back and think about what it was like. And when I got that picture, I went, I do remember that. And as I'm watching the snowflakes fall at my house, I'm like, that's right. 1 year ago yesterday, we had very similar travel concerns. Here's the great part. We're done with it. Our road crews have just been absolutely marvelous. Now, granted, it is chilly as can be. 16 degrees, that's as high as we got, and that was about the turn of the clock at midnight. But 7th and range line. You know, yesterday we had number 1, we had the rain coming down sideways. Number 2, we replaced that with snowflakes later on in the afternoon. Now we're looking great. Just make sure you have multiple layers on as we stand at 13 degrees. But the Skywatch Storm Tracker, no precipitation, no cloud cover. It's absolutely a beautiful yet cold morning. Single-digit temperatures. These are not wind chills. These are actual temperatures. And we're still experiencing our dip in temperatures pre-sunrise. 18 is where we stood earlier. Now we're down to 16 degrees in Miami. Our weather trend for today will have plenty of sunshine and actually work up into the 40s. So anything that's left in the yard, begins to melt today. And if it sticks around for today, it will definitely be done by Sunday, because we'll roll mid 40s, if not close to 50 degrees on Saturday. And then Sunday, sunny skies and a high around 63 degrees.
All right, well.
Now, we've got a cold front coming next week. I don't want to ignore that. But for the most part, coming off of what we had yesterday, because I know you're about to dive into our road conditions and the great job that our road crews did, let's get ready to enjoy a nice February weekend.
We said there was light at the end of the tunnel, and we're getting there.
You said that because you do a great job of making sure I keep my glass half full.
That's right. I just
say
filled mine again.
Right. Some people say glass half empty. Some people say glass half full. And the realists in the control room say, why is there water all over the kitchen?
Well, if you'd stop dancing while you're filling your cup. All right,
I
thanks,
couldn't
Michael.
resist. I could not resist.
Well, in our viewing area, the road conditions generally got worse the further north and west you traveled. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with the emergency managers in Labette County and in Allen County, Kansas, and has more on how they and their crews work to keep drivers safe.
Road conditions in southeast Kansas weren't great for anyone out on the roads, and they got worse the more you headed north.
Yeah, the roads aren't very good right now. If you don't need to be out, please don't.
Charles Morris, Emergency Management Director for Labette County, says they saw a few accidents relating to this weather.
We had a 2-car non-injury accident south of town here. We have a semi-jackknife somewhere out around the Neosho River Bridge on 400 Highway. And then we had a limb come down, we assumed due to ice. Took the power service out to a house.
Over in Allen County, their emergency manager says they have had some slide-offs, but no reported injuries.
We have had a few minor incidents where people have slidden off the road, but no collisions where anybody's gotten hurt. Some people have gotten stuck just on the side of the road, but nothing major.
He credits it to many people staying off the roads and staying safe.
A lot of people are just staying home, and that is what we recommend, just to stay off the roads.
But when people do need to be on the road in conditions similar to those on Thursday, Morse has some tips to stay safe.
If you can cancel it or postpone it, please do. If you do go out, make sure your phone's charged, extra water, extra blankets. Give the road crews, the county and city and state, give the guys time to get their job done, get the roads cleared and stuff down. With it turning cold like it is, it's going to be tough for them to get everything done in a timely manner before the cold weather gets here.
And in the end, it's safer to just stay home. In Labette and Allen counties, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
One key tip from both emergency managers is to plan ahead before hitting the road. Priscilla Peterson with KDOT says the heavy rain ahead of the wintry weather made it impossible to pre-treat the roads. Although crews work to keep roads clear, Peterson says the variety of winter precipitation makes driving more hazardous.
It was rain going into freezing rain, going into sleet, going into snow. So it's just something that you have to monitor. And if you're out driving, you have to be really, really careful and slow down.
Peterson says in areas that did not see much snow, drivers need to be especially cautious because it might be hard to see the ice. Well, it was mostly sleet and freezing rain with snow on Thursday in the northern counties of Missouri. In the southern counties, it was a mix of freezing rain, sleet, and flooded roads. Another concern was temperatures dropping throughout the night, leading to refreezing.
As we convert ice, it converts to water, and we're going to try to dry these roads up, but we're still experiencing some precip, and up until as the temperatures drop, that refreeze is a real possibility. So give yourself plenty of time. Certainly don't speed, don't use your cruise control, and be careful.
MoDOT's Steve Campbell says they had to close roads in the southern portion of the district due to flooding concerns, but they did not close roads due to snow or ice. One person is dead after a fire in Neosho, Missouri. The Newton County Sheriff says the fire happened around 6 o'clock Wednesday night on Heron Road in Neosho. When crews put out the fire, they found the body of a woman in her 60s. Authorities have notified the family, but the sheriff has not released the victim's name. Jurors convict a man of tampering with a victim in a domestic assault case. Last June, John Martin Hamilton was in the Newton County Jail in Neosho, Missouri, charged with felony domestic assault. Prosecutors say he called the victim from jail and offered her $500 to drop the charges. A jury found him guilty of tampering after a one-day trial and just 35 minutes of deliberation. Well, on this date in 1885, Mark Twain publishes his most famous and most controversial novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Readers first met the character of Huck Finn in another highly successful Twain novel, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. While the book centers around a journey down the river with the main character and Jim, a runaway slave, the novel deals with the institution of slavery and other aspects of life in the antebellum South. Controversy followed almost immediately upon the book's publication. One library in Concord, Massachusetts banned the book for tawdry subject matter and its coarse narrative voice, and other libraries followed suit. This controversy would continue well after Twain's death in 1910, despite the novel being hailed as a masterpiece by some literary critics, and no less than Ernest Hemingway.
Well,
I like how they refer to its coarse language and that's the way it was.
You and I were raised on that book.
We read these in school.
And of course, Mark Twain, Missouri native,
Mm-hmm.
from the Show Me State and whatnot. And I love the fact that the last line was criticized by Ernest Hemingway.
No, he's one of the ones that
Oh, okay.
not criticized.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I wasted 50 minutes of my life reading Old Man and the Sea.
It was
my
hailed,
mom's an English teacher. I'm allowed to say that.
It was hailed as a masterpiece
Okay.
by literary
It was
critics
a masterpiece.
like Ernest Hemingway.
Right. And I'm sorry, I hear Ernest Hemingway and I go Old Man and the Sea, and I know my mom is rolling her eyes at me right now. And so yeah, whenever I hear Ernest Hemingway, I'm like, that's 50 minutes of my life I'll never get back. No, yeah, you and I were raised on those books. Tim's like, Michael, do the weather trend. I'm like, Tim, I want to talk about Mark Twain. Tim's our wonderful director, by the way. He was doubled over in the control room right now, laughing. I'm sure you read all Mark Twain books growing up.
Oh yeah.
I would think they're still in.
I think of Mark Twain anytime I have to paint a fence. I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't know. There's always a visual connection with that, mental with it. Whenever I see a white picket fence that is being painted, because I don't paint a lot of fences, I'm not gonna lie. But growing up, whenever we had to paint fences and stuff, I always.
I think of Sally Jenkins' dad, who is a wonderful writer in and of himself. Sally Jenkins, a wonderful sports writer, and her father wrote novels, and one of them is included in a white picket fence. Have you ever stood by the banks of the Mississippi? Speaking of Mark Twain.
I don't think so, no.
It's an imposing sight. Whether it be in St. Louis where you can do it, or go down to New Orleans. Where you can legitimately stand on the bank of the Mississippi.
Well, Michael, Mardi Gras is coming up in couple Tuesdays. Let's plan a field trip. Let's go live from New Orleans.
So, KOAM Brass, we will be taking the show on the road. We will be coming live from New Orleans. I'm going to get Bill to sign off on that.
He's coming with us, by the way.
Right, because we'll need an engineer down there. And so if this comes to fruition, folks, it's a show you're not going to want to miss. Maybe our last show that we do, but it's a show you will not want to miss.
Oh, wow. Yes.
It's going to be in the 40s later on today with sunny skies, no travel concerns.
There you go.
I did my weather duty.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Now that we're done with the winter weather, a look at the threat it poses as it moves to the east. Plus, there's a new phrase popping up, stealth Omicron, what it means as we deal with the pandemic. And pour a glass, turns out that sugar may be good for the body. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Sonic.
Is what matters.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, winter weather affects more than 100 million Americans, and we were hit with it yesterday. And although our travel conditions are much better this morning, the storm, as far as the rest of the nation goes, is far from over. Laura Podesta gives us a look at the hardest hit areas.
Heavy snow and ice are being blamed for this pileup on I-39 outside Towanda, Illinois. Police say around 100 vehicles were involved. And Kansas Highway Patrol had its hands full as cars spun out or were plain stuck in the snow near Wichita Thursday. In Missouri, several inches of snowfall created whiteout conditions in some areas. Once skies cleared and plows got to work, the drifts made it hard for drivers to move.
Tell people if you ain't got to be out there, don't go.
Now the wild weather is moving east.
Cities like Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, and beyond at risk. Farther north, heavy rain through the Ohio Valley into the northeast.
Along the I-95 corridor, people waking up today can expect precipitation. Further north, that means heavy snowfall. In the south, rain. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
While the storm passes later today, the President's Day holiday weekend ahead still means massive traveling delays. New COVID-19 cases continue to fall in the U.S. overall. That's the good news, but there's also some worrisome news. The stealth Omicron subvariant is spreading. Britt Conway breaks down what we know right now about how fast it spreads and how severe it could be.
They're going way down.
Nationwide, new COVID-19 cases, overall hospitalizations, and deaths all going down. But
we want to pull back and say we're done. Well, you know, the virus may not be done with us.
Case in point, BA2, a subvariant of Omicron. It appears to be about 30% to 50% more contagious than Omicron, and it's been detected in 74 countries and 47 U.S. states. The World Health Organization says the prevalence of BA2 appears to be increasing, both in countries experiencing a decline in Omicron cases and in countries that are in the growing phase of the wave.
It is showing some kind of level of transmission advantage.
Japanese researchers say this subvariant needs to be more closely monitored. Based on lab experiments yet to be peer-reviewed, they say it spreads faster and might cause more severe disease than Omicron. But severity in the real world is a different story. BA2 has gained a foothold in South Africa and the UK, and hospitalizations continue to decline. But in Denmark, where it's also the leading cause of infections, the WHO says hospitalizations and deaths are rising. The good news, we have the tools to fight the spread.
The things that we're doing to really protect ourselves, the vaccination, the other protective measures, are beating back the worst effects of Omicron.
But you have to be prepared to re-mitigate again if you see a rebound coming up.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
With 4 strips of Judy.
Very cold start to our Friday morning as we've got single-digit temperatures up in the northwestern portion of the 4 states. Wind chill sitting pretty much single digits everywhere. These are actual temperatures now, so we're a far cry from the freezing point. Now, the nice thing is we do not have to worry about any of the wintry precipitation. We've got a clean Skywatch storm tracker. Even when we put on the satellite coverage there, you notice you'll have to really get on the east side of the Mississippi to even find anything that's going on. Temperatures this afternoon with the sunshine will lift us up into the low to mid 40s, so not too bad, and should be able to take care of anything that's residually left on our highways and roads. Saturday and Sunday are going to be delightful. A whole lot of sunshine, mid 40s on Saturday, 60s by the time we get to Sunday. An Indiana elementary school has created a firestorm on social media because of Black History Month. A letter that a parent says was sent home gives parents the choice to opt their children out of Black history lessons. Gina Glaros picks up the story from here.
Sprunica Elementary School in Brown County allegedly sent a letter home to parents allowing students to opt out of Black history lessons.
The last line of that letter in this picture reads, "If you would like to opt your child out for receiving these lessons, then sign the form below and have your child return it to the school to give to the teacher." The post is making its rounds on social media with thousands of retweets and comments. One response, "This makes me really sad for America." Another writes, "Why would this even be an option?" 13 News reached out to the counselor who wrote the letter and were referred to the superintendent. After leaving messages, we showed up.
We went to the Brown County Schools Administrative Office to speak with the superintendent, but we were told she's not available.
Then Wednesday afternoon, 13 News found out the superintendent sent a letter to parents and staff about the situation. She released this statement to 13 News. She says, in part, quote, "We do not allow students and parents to opt out of required curriculum, including instruction on social studies and histories. Any decision related to parental consent and curriculum determinations are made in accordance with the law. We are looking into the matter to determine the justification for the language included in the letter. We will respond to any parental concerns on an individualized basis."
Since the letter was posted on Twitter Tuesday, it has gone viral, drawing thousands of retweets and responses. Administrators say the school district supports teaching Black history. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, winding down with a glass of wine can be a nightly ritual for many, but new research from the UK shows drinking just 2 glasses could put people over the recommended daily sugar limit. Tina Kraus has more from London.
Just pop and pour. It's a pandemic pastime most don't think twice about.
I think it's quite relaxing, for me at least.
Something to look forward to.
I guess staying in's the new going out, isn't it?
But new research reveals 2 glasses a day could put you over the suggested sugar limit.
I think for a lot of people, they think of alcoholic beverages as kind of, not counting or not really thinking about what's in it.
Britain's Alcohol Health Alliance found some of the country's most popular wines pack close to 60 grams of sugar per bottle. 1 glass of this sparkling variety has more sugar than a glazed donut, and dietitians say that adds up over time.
High sugar intake over the long term is associated with an increased risk of certain diseases like cardiovascular disease and diabetes.
Consumer groups are calling for nutrition labels on wine bottles, something not required here in the UK or the US, leaving consumers in the dark when it comes to sugar and calorie content.
To be honest, I don't care.
Personally, I think, it would be very good to know.
Researchers also found 2 6-ounce glasses of some reds have more calories than a hamburger.
So I think having transparency around labeling could help people choose a wine or any type of alcoholic beverage that feels most aligned with them.
So wine lovers can sit back and sip guilt-free. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Study found that wines that contain less alcohol, like rosé, fruit, and sparkling varieties, tended to be higher in sugar. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, authorities discover the body of a woman in the remains of a house fire.
Frigid cold temperatures as our winter weather, at least mercury-wise, remains, but at least we've got a clean Skywatch storm tracker, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And sleet, snow, and freezing rain turn some area roads into a winter weather nightmare. We're going to show you how road crews tackled the challenge.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Those stories on the way, and also a 4-stater convicted of tampering with a victim. But first, let's check in on this cold Friday morning with Michael in the Skywatch Weather Center.
I want to thank you. I'm so glad that not only you, but also our reporters, producers are going to pay attention to the great work that our road crews did yesterday. Some of it was unavoidable because of that rain that we got so early, and it was going to wash everything away. But after that, those crews got out there and really did yeoman's work is the best I could describe it. And even though it's super cold this morning, at least they get a day off from precipitation. Here's where we stand, squarely below the freezing mark. As a matter of fact, we've dipped about 4 to 5 degrees here in the past hour and a half. Our weather trend, we have not had any of a rebound ever since we dropped the cold front that worked in on Monday, but the Skywatch storm tracker and the radar remain clear on this Friday morning, and our weather trend with some sunshine for the afternoon hours, eventually lifting us up into the low 40s. Now that the winter storm has moved to the mid-Atlantic all the way up the East Coast, remains as rain because that cold front stalled out before it actually hit the ocean. So it took all the snow, pushed it to the Great Lakes, majority of it now staying up in Canada. Future track for us looking very, very clear, and a little bit of a warming trend on our hands as we'll be able to make it up into the 40s for Saturday. And then how about we roll 60s on both Sunday and Monday? Yeah, coming up next week, we've got another cold front on our hands. That's not going to appear though until Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So let's sit back and enjoy a wonderful February weekend.
All right, looking forward to that. It's going to be beautiful weekend.
Sunday's going to be great.
Be a great day to start getting some yard work done, if it's not too muddy.
That's crazy to say that. It is about that. I didn't even think about that until you said it. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. We are getting close to that.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, one person is dead after a fire in Neosho, Missouri. The Newton County Sheriff says the fire happened around 6 o'clock Wednesday night on Heron Road in Neosho. When crews put out the fire, they found the body of a woman in her 60s. Authorities have notified the family, but the sheriff has not released the victim's name. Jurors convict a man of tampering with a victim in a domestic assault case. Last June, John Martin Hamilton was in the Newton County Jail in Neosho, Missouri, charged with felony domestic assault. Prosecutors say he called the victim from jail and offered her $500 to drop the charges. A jury found him guilty of tampering after a one-day trial and just 35 minutes of deliberation. Missouri lawmakers push for the state to officially recognize Black History Month. The state has designated days honoring several prominent Black figures such as Rosa Parks and Buck O'Neil, the first African-American who coached in Major League Baseball, and a Kansas City icon who spent most of his playing days with the Kansas City Monarchs and then would go on to coach and scout for the Royals. But Missouri state law does not designate February as Black History Month. Now, a bill making its way through the Missouri legislature would change that. Under the legislation, Missouri would join Alaska, California, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, and South Carolina as the only states in the country to officially recognize Black History Month in state law. And Missouri is not the only state debating this. Coming up, they'll have the latest on why another state does not have a designation for Black History Month and the changes its state legislature is trying to make. It was quite a mix of conditions across the area. In some places, lots of snow and ice, and others, not much. Regardless, wintry weather can create a slippery situation when you step outside. KOAM's Chris Warner has more on what those hidden risks are.
Sidewalks down here in Joplin are mostly clear, but there's still some patches of ice, and that means, despite how clear it looks, you could still manage to slip and fall. Reddingsville Fire Chief Steve Coates lays out the risks.
There's several different injuries that can take place, mostly to either the arms or the head, back of the head from the fall, depending on which direction the fall is, or ankles.
But when should you treat it at home versus going to the hospital?
If it's a situation where it doesn't feel too bad right now, and it starts hurting a little bit later, you may consider medical treatment. If within 48 hours the pain hasn't gone away, they probably ought to seek medical treatment.
Chief Coates says the most concerning situation is a head injury.
Any kind of head trauma where the brain has impacted the interior of the skull could put you into a situation where you have a concussion.
Chief Coates says if you hit your head, even if it doesn't hurt that much, you should seek medical attention immediately to rule out a more serious injury. He says there are some key symptoms to watch out for if you do hit your head.
They could feel nauseated, they could have a headache, they could feel really tired, hard to keep their eyes open.
There's a couple of simple ways to avoid a slip and fall in the wintry weather. The first, just stay home. But if you can't, take a walk on the grassy side.
Usually grass is more porous and the ice isn't smooth like it would be on like a sidewalk. And if you have the opportunity, you walk in the grass and lessen those opportunities to slip and fall.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Chief Coates says it's important to watch out for black ice on sidewalks and to take it slow, even on snow, because there could be ice hidden beneath. Well, believe it or not, but on this date in history, Shawnee Davis becomes the first black athlete to win an individual gold medal in Winter Olympics history when he captures the men's 1,000-meter speed skating race. Now, Davis grew up on the south side of Chicago and began speed skating on wheels at the local roller rink. As his love of speed skating grew, Davis began taking lessons, and from 1995 to 2003, he won National American Championships and a North American Championship in 1999. Okay, in 23, he won the gold medal with a time of 1 minute, 8.89 seconds at the 2006 Olympics. In Italy, he also earned a silver. 4 years later, at the Games in Vancouver, British Columbia, Davis repeated as champion in the 1,000 meter and silver again in the 1,500.
Is it, and I love the way you started that, believe it or not, because is it me or do our Olympic athletes, when we watch them and we think about the years that they competed, it's like it was that long ago?
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
How many different Olympics has he competed in too?
Right.
That was insane.
I mean, I remember him doing this. It seems like it was maybe a couple years ago. And I think that, like, I think about that with every Olympic athlete that it has, been so as successful as Shawnee is. Yeah, that happened yesterday, didn't it? I still want to think Shannon Miller's like 15 years old. She's probably like my age, to be honest with you. Just because we pride ourselves in following up on our teases, and we're talking about one of the most successful athletes that we've had in the Winter Olympics right there, who happens to be an African American. You were talking about Black History Month,
yes,
and the fact that we were going to follow up on that story. And I just wanted to let you know that it actually comes a story out of Indiana, and that a letter went viral from a teacher that gave parents the option to have their kids opt out of Black History Month lessons instead of just making that part of the curriculum. So that's why I wanted to just follow up on that story there from what you said, that we were going to bring you that later on. And it hit the Twitter machine, and superintendent says they strongly encourage their students to do it, but evidently not mandatory. Found that interesting.
There you go.
I say this from the child of an educator, folks. Usually the lesson plan is the lesson plan is the lesson plan. That's what we're going to learn. Evidently they got a little different thing that they do there in Indiana. All right, our weather trend for today going to lift us up into the 40s with sunny skies. Get a chance to get a little bit of that melt. Anything that you do have in the yard, it'll be gone by Sunday. Look at this great February weekend. Saturday, mid-40s, Sunday up into the 60s.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Be on the lookout for baby formula. Some of it may be contaminated. We'll have the details, plus pickpocketing in the digital age. We let you weigh in. We'll be right back.
Good luck, Martucci.
In Consumer Watch this morning, stock futures are higher. The reason that's of note is because the Dow Jones Industrial Average suffered its worst losses of 2022 yesterday. Diane King Hall takes a look as we head into the weekend.
Stocks plunged Thursday amid growing fears of an armed conflict in Ukraine. The Dow tumbled 622 points, the Nasdaq skidded 407, and the S&P 500 fell 94. The FDA is advising parents to watch out for potentially tainted infant formula. The warning concerns certain powdered baby formulas made by Abbott Nutrition at a plant in Sturgis, Michigan. The products were sold under the Similac, Elecare, and Alimentum brands and have an expiration date of April 1st or later. The FDA says it's investigating reports of 4 babies who developed bacterial infections after ingesting formula. The agency says the illness may have contributed to one infant's death. Meanwhile, U.S. regulators are looking into claims of phantom braking in Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it's received 354 complaints from drivers who said their vehicles suddenly slowed or stopped for no apparent reason while using autopilot, a feature that allows the car to steer and brake on its own. It's unclear if any accidents were reported in connection with the complaints. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Diane King Hall.
FDA warns parents to double check labels if you're using powdered infant formula. The popular powdered brands at issue are from Abbott Nutrition. Products labeled Similac, Alimentum, and Elecare may be contaminated, and there have been reports of 4 infants hospitalized and 1 death in 3 states because of bacteria in the formula. FDA says parents should avoid using formula if the first 2 digits on the infant formula's code are between 22 and 37. Well, the IRS is ramping up its effort to address a massive backlog of tax returns and correspondence. Officials say the agency is set to stand up a second, quote, surge team. For this purpose, the IRS has already redirected about 1,200 employees back into entry-level clerical positions. Mandatory overtime for employees was also implemented. The backlogs from the past 2 years are a result of the pandemic. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Tanya, this morning, how you protect yourself online. Our question gave you a number of different ways that perhaps, whether it be email or phone. Right now, 53% of you, so the majority, considering we've got 4 or 5 options on there, 53% of you say you keep it to a password. I kind of laugh because the old 2-way authentication over here, that's the bane and I of Tanya's existence right now at work. That's 4%. And I find it really interesting that 27% say it's a multitude. It's most of these. And so that goes to show you that a lot of you are thinking about privacy and making sure that nobody can hack you. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. But first, let's check in with Tony in New York.
I'm Tony Nicopol. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Olympic gold medalist Erin Jackson joins us here in studio. The speed skater will talk to us about how it felt to make history at the Winter Games. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
At Johnson Floor & Home,
the 4-state community for many years to come. From all of us at Aaron Saxon Associates, thank you.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, John Furry, who served in the Navy from 1943 to 1946, spending time stationed in the South Pacific. He earned several honors, including the Victory Medal and the Philippine Presidential Unit Citation with 2 Bronze Stars. His hometown, Webb City, Missouri. We thank you, John Furry, our 4-state hero.
Now check out this dude right here. Little trick riding. Well, that happens to be the grandson of our own Rhonda Zook. That is Easton, who's now turning the big 4. And yes, he does take after his papa in that picture. A very happy birthday to Easton in Columbus. Kid's fearless, man. I cannot believe he's 4.
All right, Charlie Insminger, turning 8 years old this year.
Say it, say it. What is he doing?
He's
outstanding in his field.
He is. That's a really cool picture.
That is cool.
Love the wheat
There's a
field.
gorgeous sky behind him. Wait, is that? Wait a second.
It is pretty cool, the sun.
No, is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, those 2 towers. Yeah, and the 3rd one. Yeah, it is. That's just outside the station.
Oh, well, that's cool. Are you sure?
I guarantee.
Are you sure? Well, I don't know. Well, he's from Moran. We know that. Hey, we want to know where this picture was taken.
Charlie, happy birthday. I guarantee it is. I know these towers. Charlie, that's a super cool picture, my man. That's awesome.
All right. Michael's looking at the details.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, that's really neat. We probably should say thank you to Charlie's mom and dad as well. Charlie's like, why am I standing in this field? Charlie's mom and dad are like, we're going to get a picture.
All right, Jackson Harper turning 8 years old as well. Check out that. Is that
Wow.
the Valentine's box? That's
Yeah,
super cool.
that's great.
Jackson is in Columbus.
That is too cool right there, man. All right, we've got Tatum Johnson is turning 9. Look at that hat.
Aw.
You wear it well, my friend. All right, Tatum, a very happy birthday in Oswego.
All right. And
Oh, Timber's back.
Timber Haslip. Okay, we did her birthday a little bit early because it's actually today. We announced it on Monday.
Somewhere distantly, I think that this, like my family and her family, probably if we go down the line, And so, Timber, I just wanted to get your birthday started early.
Yeah. Timber is 9 years old.
She got a week-long celebration out of it.
Yeah.
Briley Cook turning number 12. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? Look at the size of that thing.
It's a largemouth right there. Yep.
Nice job, Briley. That is awesome. That's a big number 12 birthday with happy birthday wishes coming from Papa Doug. And maybe that was Papa Doug that took her fishing.
Maybe.
Briley, if you and Papa Doug are going to catch fish like that, I would love to go with.
Well, in Frontenac, Jolie Johns is celebrating birthday number 12 this year. Hope you have a great one.
Happy birthday, Jolie. Sadie Fox is celebrating her 14th birthday. Sadie's in Girard. We got a little St. Mary's Colgan Pride right there. Have a great day, kiddo.
All right. And Evan Brewster turning 17 years old. Looks like he's the little Kansas City Chiefs
like
fan
that,
there.
yeah.
Happy birthday, Evan.
Oh, this dude, now 17 as well. Happy birthday, Mr. Lane. Hey, Lane, I got to tell you this, man, on air. I got to tell you this birthday wishes come with love from Mom and Dad. Happy birthday, Lane.
All right. Out in Jasper, Missouri, Jalen Buchanan turning 22 years old.
Who this is?
It's Bryce. So,
folks, I'm going to burn clock right here because this gentleman that you see right here, it means the world to our station, and it means it's such a boon to have in the 4 states, and just one of the greatest people that you're ever going to be around. Bryce, we love you. Once this pandemic is over, man, we'll get to be around you in person more often. 26 years old. My goodness.
This must be some sort of a Disney shoot or something. That's Princess Ariel,
yes.
I think.
Knowing Bryce, I guarantee it was.
Cool.
Bryce, we know you're up, we know you're watching, and I want you to know we love you, buddy. And a very happy birthday in Pittsburgh.
All right. In Anderson, Missouri, Chris Cable turns 45 years old today. What a great picture there.
Those poor kids. I love that. Terry Bourne, a happy 71st birthday. Miss Terry, marvelous picture right there, is in St. Paul.
Both teasing for the camera. And up in Humboldt, where they got a little bit of snow yesterday, Doug Leonard is 75 years old.
Yeah, happy birthday, Doug. And speaking of friends of the show, Faye Pack is turning 87. Happy birthday, Faye. And look at that marvelous addition that he has with him. Faye is in Chanute.
All right, in Joplin, celebrating birthday number 91, it's Bill Spencer. Of course, that's him there in the middle. Birthday wishes coming from his family and friends.
That looks like it was quite a party right there.
Yeah.
Dolores Brana, she is turning 94. Miss Dolores, we want you to have a marvelous birthday. She's in Nevada.
All right, Rebecca West in Webb City. Happy birthday,
Hey, what's up, Rebecca?
I haven't spoke to her in a minute.
I know.
All right.
I know.
And Lori Ellis.
I tell you what, you wouldn't miss Rebecca with that hair, though, would you?
No.
You knew it. Yep.
Pretty red hair. Lori Ellis in Chanute. You got her picture?
There she
we go. Got her hands full, that's for sure. Happy birthday, Miss Lori.
Good picture. Let's go to anniversaries here. Get this, Lonnie and Peggy Yarnell. They've been married for half a century.
Wow.
Isn't that something else? You wouldn't even guess that, they don't even look 50 years old. Lonnie and Peggy, a very happy anniversary to you in Erie.
That's not the only 50th anniversary we're celebrating.
What?
Steve and Deanne Parsons are celebrating 50 years of wedded bliss. And got a little note here. They both served as educators in Southeast Kansas in Cherokee, Pittsburgh, Humboldt, and Chanute. Steve is actually in his 51st year, as he now works for the Greenbush Education Center.
50 years of wedded bliss is pretty amazing. And I really think that the Yarnells and the Parsons are going to last what the Pitchers did. You know what the Pitchers did? 55 years.
Oh. That's a hint.
That means
and Linda Pitcher?
That means turn the page, guys. Doug
Down
and Linda
in
Pitcher.
Miami. There we go. Oh, and we got the throwback.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
What a marvelous picture right there.
Love it, love it, love it.
Doug and Linda on their wedding day right there as they now celebrate 55 years. Congratulations, Doug and Linda. Friends, do you want to say congratulations to them?
He's not listening.
Okay, he's not. Congratulations, Doug and Linda. They are in Miami. So if you see the pictures out and about this weekend, tell them congratulations.
All right, our birthday list goes on. Miss Mila Yeager celebrating a birthday in Columbus.
And back to Miami, where Linda Roberts has a birthday as well. Happy birthday, Miss Linda. Now, here's where you can send them into, KOAMTV.com. Birthdays, making sure it's plural. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com, or go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Do you love a sleek, modern look, or maybe you prefer classic and modest?
Thanks for waking up with us. Thanks for joining us. Want you to have a great, safe day. We'll do this all again on Monday.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.
Today's